Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the final episode of Season 1 of FMX. It's me, Mark Robinson, here again. Hope you're well. You'll have seen lots of content from us recently as we were at the workplace event all of last week. You'll be pleased to know that my knees have recovered. However, my brain hasn't really. So if I make any mistakes on this podcast, please forgive me. It's not intentional. Anyway, we're here for another one of our special episodes of the Facilities Management Exchange, where we're discovering leadership across the facilities management industry. And it gives me great pleasure to be joined today by Mr. Ross Abbate, CEO of Macro. How you doing, Ross? You all right?
Really well, thank you. And thanks for inviting me to this podcast.
No problem at all, mate. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. We've obviously done a podcast before, haven't we, Ross?
We have.
Many moons ago.
We did, indeed, yes.
This time, you're on camera, though. How do you feel about that?
I hate being on camera. Camera is my worst enemy.
Oh, mate.
As long as you got my good side and you can filter it. No, we haven't done anything.
Well, the worst thing is these lads here sit me here on purpose so that it is my bad side, because I have a terrible side on view, so people have to put up with that, unfortunately. It's a laughing joke in the office.
I'm the same too, so I don't think there is a good angle.
No, there's bound to be a good angle, mate. That's what my wife tells me anyway. She makes me feel good every time I go home. Don't worry, love, you look fine. You know. But listen, thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, these episodes that we're producing and delivering focus on that specific, very key area of leadership across the facilities management sphere. And the reason that we wanted to do this was to give young people some insights really on some of the decisions that people such as yourself have to take, some of the learnings that you've had throughout your career, and also where you think the industry's going and what advice you would give to those people looking to move into the space. So let's start with, what's your name? Where do you come from? And tell us a bit about yourself.
Ross Abbate.
Yeah.
Born and bred in Sydney.
Yeah.
As you can tell from the accent, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not.
Yep.
Moved over to the UK first time around in 96 and then moved back to Australia and then back here in 2006. So been working in the industry since then.
Yeah.
I came into the industry in 96 by accident.
Yeah.
Electrical engineer. Came to the UK, needed a job. Got a job with a company called the J&D organisation, who were a cleaning company. Actually, cleaning company way before their time.
Really?
They were really, really ahead of the time. They were a partner to Procord at the time.
Okay.
And they had just sold a security contract to News International. And and they had sold this great technology called finger scan on how they're going to do access control.
Yeah.
My background in electrical engineering, I'd been doing project management and control systems for security systems in Australia and all that. So I got a job to install this finger scan system, which was an Australian system. It wasn't that good.
Was that biometrics then?
Biometrics, yeah.
So it measured the veins in your
blood flow and all that.
Yeah, because that's heat and cold dependent sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, which doesn't really work in the UK.
No.
Especially in a paper, like it was paper-based, it was News International.
Yeah.
People would have, come in working from the press hall and stuff like that.
Got ink on their fingers.
Dry fingers, all of that type of stuff. Anyway, we found a different technology. We installed this access control system, worked really well, and I thought that'd be it. I'd go and find myself another job.
Yeah.
And the CEO, the owner of the business said, look, you're pretty good with clients. Why don't you come and work here and do some FMing for me?
Yeah.
I had no idea. And I ended up being put onto a site, BP Sunbury.
Right.
At the time, because I was a supplier to Procore.
Yeah.
And suddenly I took over 50 cleaners and 50 other mailroom staff, landscaping, fabric maintenance.
The whole soft services.
Yeah, and I still remember it was my birthday because it's the worst day of my life, because I remember I got home on my birthday and by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, I was in bed because it was just that bad a day.
Yeah.
I didn't know what hit me, so yeah.
Really? And that was your first day, the first day in FM?
First day in FM, in real FM, yes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's not like that for everybody, let's be honest, Ross.
No, it's not. But it just opened up my eyes to a totally different world. I was 26, 27.
So quite young then.
Yeah. And being given this, and you got people who are twice your age, people towards the end of their careers, people who knew what they were doing. Professional cleaners, really good team.
Yeah.
But and yet I had to somehow earn their respect and manage them.
Yeah.
which is unbelievable.
That's a big undertaking though. 50 odd people day one.
Yeah.
Coming from, what is a mechanical background really in terms of electrical engineering.
Electrical background. Yeah.
Well,
So-
mechanical
yeah,
engineering,
yeah.
it's all the same thing to me, mate. You know?
Oh, be careful! No,
No.
There's a two thing.
Don't fly across the table, Ross. No, but it is, because usually
When you look back at it,
Yeah.
I guess I look at that. I go, but I never look at things like that. You just go, that's another day. It's another challenge, another thing. It took me. I got to say, probably took me with the support of the organisation at the time, probably 6 months before I thought, actually, I've got this now. I've got it. Do you know what I mean? But even then, I didn't have it, but I felt more comfortable in what I was doing.
What was day 2 like though, Rod? Like getting up the next day and then going in, was there trepidation? Were you like, I can't do this, I don't want to go? How did you push through it? Because if it took 6 months, I'm guessing from day 1 to that 6-month period, there were some really challenging times.
Yeah.
But you just persevered through that.
Yeah.
What kept
I guess
you going?
for me is you just got to take each day as a new day.
Yeah.
And you can't. You're thinking the next day will be better. The next day will be better. And the next day, and slowly it does happen. I think you got to also back yourself that actually I can get through this.
Yeah.
And and I did put my hand up and said, look, I'm struggling. I need some support. I need some advice. And then I guess what I did was I got my hands dirty too. And actually I went and did cleaning and understood what they were doing.
Yeah.
And the fact that I was able to go and I wasn't talking to them but working with them, it helped. And I like to think that that they saw value in me. I mean, it was quite interesting because I took over this site and to be frank, they weren't a really good people trying to work, earn a living, They were minimum wage, and at the time I think it was £5.20 an hour for cleaners, something like that.
That's a challenge.
And when you look at that, you're thinking that's not a lot of money to earn, and there are people that earn that type of money today, and they all wanted to, of course, increase their pay packets. So I actually worked with them and said, how can we do this? And but what was happening is they were doing all this overtime, which we weren't charging for, so the business is suffering.
Yeah.
So we actually changed it a little bit because there was a really good KPI performance metric system there that we had with the client, that if your KPIs over a year increased by 10%, that the team were entitled to almost a month's worth of salary in incentive.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you said, do you see these KPIs on the wall that are not going anywhere? You've got 3 months to get them to 10% because that's the end of the year.
Yeah.
If you get them to 10%, you get equivalent to about a month's money extra.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the performance changed immediately.
I bet it did.
Because they could see it.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, I was stopping their overtime, but actually, if the client paid for overtime and if they were meeting these KPIs, there was all these things. So it's about looking how do you solve the problem from their eyes. And their eyes, all they wanted to do was work and earn more money, and they were great operatives. They just didn't have the right, what am I saying, the means to do it, if you got what I mean. And I guess that was my role, is to create that where you're balancing what the client needs to what they needed, and you're the medium trying to balance the two. No different to what you do today, actually.
No, but that's a little bit like, that's sometimes about how you deliver that message as well, isn't it? Because you could have delivered that message the right way or the wrong way. The right way, they did what you expected. They got motivated. You incentivized them. They went out and achieved that. The wrong way might be, I'm not doing that. I want my overtime.
Yeah.
So it depends how you, as that leader of that group, actually delivered.
And I didn't get it right the first time, because the first time I probably just said there's no overtime.
Yeah.
And then everyone's, like you said, I'm not doing that. You're not even doing my overtime. We're going to stop and all that. Yeah. And then you start to realize what their problem is, and you start to listen to what their issues are. And then you go, okay, I've got to solve their issues. I mean, I found I became an agony aunt in some ways. Someone would come in the morning and go, I can't come to work tomorrow because my electricity meter hasn't gone and I need a fiver to get that going to do that. So you started to, against all advice, you lend someone a fiver, or you do this and you do that, and you start to trust people.
Yeah.
Whether it's right or wrong, and people say it's wrong, for me, it kind of worked. Do you know what I mean? And that got people coming and stuff like that, coming into work, doing what we had to do and stuff like that. Yeah. So anyway, that's how I got into industry.
Yeah, but quite an important lesson to learn from the get-go, though, as well, Ross. Just, and that, to me, has that taken you on to the next level in your career? Did that kind of set you up from a leadership perspective? Did that get you going? Did it light the fire in that sense?
I think, I don't know. From a leadership I always knew from an early age that I wanted to lead something, right? I always wanted to have my own business, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I never thought the opportunity would really come.
Right.
And do that. And I never actually had I never took that step to go, I'm going to run my own business,
Yeah.
Probably years ago, I could have stepped out of my corporate career and said, I'm going to do this. And I just never had that.
It's a big risk, that though, isn't it? Really,
it was.
If you're doing well in your career, and you've got, I think obviously you'll have had younger children and things like that.
Yeah,
at that time.
and you're in a different country and that never really stopped me. But you do look at the whole dynamics of that. This is a safe journey.
Yeah,
this is that. But I always knew that you get through. I guess for me, like the hard work and all that. That was instilled in me from a young age. Dad and mum were both migrants to Australia. They met there.
Yeah.
But my dad used to work 16-hour days. So work was something that was standard. Do you know what I mean?
Same for me. Growing up in Yorkshire, you know what I mean. Like the work ethic. I remember my dad just drilled it into me.
Yeah.
Mainly because he was telling me off for having none. Do you know what I mean?
But I just think it was funny. We were talking about I like university. I hated university. I like university, the social side.
Yeah.
I like doing labs. I like doing practical things. I hated lessons.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have I didn't like studying. I didn't like doing any of that.
Yeah.
But give me something to build or something like that, I would have done it all the time. We used to spend nights at the university, 24 hours sometimes, building stuff to show, to do stuff and like that. But I never like the study bit.
No, I'm the same.
But the work ethic was there, if you get what I mean. So yeah.
So what did you go to university to study?
Electrical engineering. That's why I picked you up on it.
Yeah.
There's a hierarchy. Electrical, mechanical.
Oh, really?
And then civil, which is what my son is.
Oh, so civil's the bottom.
Of course. It's a joke we have in-house.
Yeah. You might get beat up when you go out.
No, we'll do. Yeah. Okay. No, they're all equally good, but electrical's the hardest.
Yeah, well, yeah. And probably the most dangerous as well, to be fair.
It is dangerous. Yeah. And all jokes aside, even when I was working when I was really young, because I did what's called a sandwich course.
Yeah.
You work for 6 months and study for 6 months.
Yeah.
Someone passed away, electrical, where they just, and this is the owner. So we used to do, I was working at a company that did, they're called magnetrons, and the big microwave ovens. Microwave ovens as big as this room.
Really?
Yeah. And this was, had molasses going through and it dried up, so it'd cook it and stuff like that. I won't tell you what else had dried up, but it used to do that type of stuff. No, it did. It did. Right. What you were talking about earlier.
Right, okay. Cool.
And anyway, and there was a fault with it. And this is the owner of the business has gone and probed to see, to measure the voltage. And at that high voltage, you have like a step down voltage. It's like 1,000 to 1.
Yeah.
So it might only show a 1 on multimeter, but it's actually 1,000. And something went wrong, and he touched it. And his legs were touching the rail, and he just got electrocuted and died instantly. So it is something you don't see.
Yeah, I mean that's.
So that teaches you really early on about being safe and stuff like that.
Was it quite a young fellow as well?
I don't know. I mean, I was 19, so anyone was old compared to that. But I think he's probably in his 40s, to be fair.
Really, but seeing that as well, that's.
I didn't see it.
Right.
I was just part of the,
You're part of the team. You heard about it.
Yeah.
Right. But even still, that instills. Well, it just goes on. Health and safety crucial, isn't it?
No, exactly. You just don't realise when something can hit you. That's yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully nothing like that ever hits us, mate.
No, exactly.
And God bless him and his family. To be fair, challenging time. So. Obviously, you went to university, did electrical engineering, not mechanical or civil, people.
No.
Don't want to get that wrong. You then moved to the UK, which, I mean, that takes a certain amount of courage to leave the country you're from.
I didn't even think about it.
Oh, did you not?
Basically, it was my wife.
Oh, right.
Or girlfriend at the time, yeah.
Oh, so you followed a woman?
Yes.
I
wouldn't be here otherwise.
Age-old story of man. Fair enough. So, and then obviously you ended up in FM. What was the next move for you in FM after you'd led that team at News Corp?
So I actually moved back to Australia.
Oh,
and I vowed to get out of the industry.
Yeah.
And go back into electrical engineering.
Yeah.
And so there was Johnson Controls had just moved to Australia.
I know Johnson Controls, yeah.
Yeah. I put my CV into Hayes.
Right.
Hayes had just gone to Australia. There was an English lady that had just gone out there from the UK to start the Hayes business out there.
Yeah.
She picked up my CV and gave it to a guy called Chris Hunt.
Right.
Chris Hunt was sent out by JCI. He'd gone out with JCI to agree
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He looked at my CV. He did, and because Procore ended up back in the UK, Procore got bought by JCI. He basically did a reference check and said, "Oh, you're the type of person I need."
Yeah.
And he gave me a job, and I got
So you
back
ended
into
up in FM.
back in FM in the UK, in Australia.
You travelled 14,000 miles to get away from an industry that you ended up back in anyway.
Exactly right.
Right, okay. And was it different in Australia as opposed to the UK?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. It was interesting when you're running bids and all that. We're just taking the UK stuff and putting it in there because it was more advanced in the UK. It wasn't really an industry in Australia yet.
Right, so you were kind of developing that industry.
Yeah, in the way that we did it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And how did
you had cleaning companies. You had facility services.
Yeah.
You didn't have facilities management as such.
So it wasn't an industry per se.
Oh, there was an industry, but I don't think the whole workplace experience, the whole workplace, all of that was there. But also, Australia's got a lot of space, so you don't have to worry about, what's your workplace environment. It wasn't as big a deal at the time there.
Yeah, because you can build out in Australia, can't you? Whereas in the UK, we're all having to build up at the minute, aren't we, from a space perspective?
Yeah.
Okay, so how has that now changed in Australia?
I mean,
is it more alike to what we experience from an industry perspective?
I
in the
think
UK?
you go through pockets. I don't know who I was talking to the other day, and they were saying at one stage Australia was leading the workplace experience,
Really?
Globally.
Right.
and they didn't realise, and then people. I think depends on organisations how they drive it. Do you know what I mean? Because I think Macquarie did a lot of work out there, and of course then that comes around the world. And now I know JP Morgan have done a lot of work in New York, and then they come do work in So I think it moves depending on who's driving it.
Does it move with people as well? Do you think? Do you think people move around, and as they move around, so does their dynamism and ideas in relation to the industry?
It does, but I also think we've got a really small industry.
Yeah.
So if I take that example with Chris Hunt, he didn't know me, but he could do a reference check back in the UK because the industry's so small. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and he could do that. And when I came back, it worked the other way around, actually. I contacted someone at JCI because I'd left JCI in Australia and gone to a company called Resolve. Chris moved to Resolve and he took me with him.
Yeah.
When I came back to the UK, I contacted JCI, and once again, I still remember. I won't mention names here, but I went for an interview with someone, and she said, "You will never get a job with JCI. You just don't fit. You don't fit in their culture."
Really?
The next day, I went and met JCI through the connections, and I was offered a job by the end of the week.
That's crazy.
So it just shows you just never know, do you?
Yeah, no, not at all. So in terms of your network, let's stick to network, because I think network is something that's quite important, particularly in this industry, probably more so than most actually. Networking is a key tool to developing your career. It's also a key tool to starting your career in this space. What type of advice would you give to people that are looking to join the industry from a networking perspective? Are there any specific groups that you think that they could get involved with that would be beneficial?
I think if you're studying and you're young, get into the whole young leader networks.
Yeah.
Start to do that. I'm not going to pick. There are different organisations. There's IFMA, there's IWFM, there's Cornet, there's all of those, right?
There's a lot, yeah.
So pick one and start to build your network in that.
Right.
But I think networks are really important. And for me, so we had this morning this thing that we do called leadership lattes, where basically anyone in the business can sign up, 10 people, and we basically have a coffee. Over a coffee, we talk about. They can ask any questions on the EMT, the executive.
I think I've seen that
team.
on LinkedIn.
Yeah, you probably have.
Yeah. I think I've liked a couple of them.
And I got asked the question this morning, about what are some of the career things you would do? And I would say the biggest thing is building a network. I'm always a believer is I don't know everything, but I might know someone who can help me solve a problem.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? And so like even talking today where you said, oh, we've got a national network now, a national cleaning. Well, I know I'll come to you when we're looking for a national provider. Do you get what I mean? That's you listen, you learn, keep it. Always know someone who can help you, and your network's really important.
I wasn't even pitching you there,
Ross.
No,
you weren't. No, but you weren't. But that's the point I'm trying to make is you weren't pitching at all. But for me is, okay, now I've got that. I know where I can go.
It's there. Yeah. You've got that assistance if you need it. That's very interesting. I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, I'm quite well networked as well. It's been a huge part of my career. And to be fair, a lot of these people that I've dealt with for the last 20 years, they've become my friends. You
Yeah.
know, and I think that they become your professional friends, and then they're more inclined to offer assistance, to offer advice. I mean, I help people with presentations
Yeah.
if they're going for jobs and things like that. You know, and people help me as well if I ever need it. And you know, having that network to lean on is so important. You know, and finding that from day one. If I was to give myself the same advice, I would say exactly the same thing you are. Get involved with some kind of networking group early and really go for it. Like, because probably for the first 5 years of my career, I don't think I did it well at all. You know, like not in the way I would do it now if I could go back in time, you know, it's kind of.
But I think you also got to, there are different people types too. So I'm an introvert.
Yep.
And actually, I hate going to networking events and all that.
I know, and I love it, and I missed 5 years of it. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Whereas I'm not keen on it, but for me, it's about find the way that works for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you do go to these networks, but maybe you're better off in smaller groups. So, you know, when they've got committees and get involved and however it is. I mean, I did IWFM judging for a while, and that was, for me, was a good way to build a network up because actually I didn't have to go and meet people. Because I also hate fake networking too. I hate when you go to networking events and people look at your badge and then they decide whether to talk to you or not.
Yeah, that's not good, is it?
It is, but a lot of people do it, and I've seen it actually. You know, you go to New York and you do a networking event, it works like that. And there's a lot of people that just walk around just looking at who you are, and will talk to you or won't talk to you depending on that.
I bet that's, I mean,
I hate that.
Yeah. But look, I'm a sales guy, mate. Nobody wants to talk to me, to be fair. I have to try and elicit every conversation. But I imagine as someone like yourself, I imagine that could be quite frustrating, you know. I mean, I never do that. I'll talk to anybody, you know.
Me too. And I'm not talking to people because I'm trying to sell or anything like that.
No, I'm
talking to people. I'm just interested to understand, learn more, different perspectives.
Well, it's the only reason I've got a podcast. I just like talking to people. I like finding out their stories or how they did X or how they did Y. And we learn some interesting stuff about people when we do that. To be fair,
I bet you do.
Yeah. So, look, all right. So, tell me, obviously, let's talk a little bit about macro, because macro is an incredibly important element of your career. Obviously, you're now the CEO. Talk us a little bit about that process, because I know it was quite interesting. It was part of a wider organisation. You were part of a team that came in and changed that. Talk us through that and tell us a little bit about what you learned about that as well, because it's an MBO, a management buyout, quite a complex thing to do for an international business as well, not a national one. Tell us a bit about that, Ross.
So, Macro is part of the Mace Group. What was the Mace Group at the time?
Or as I know, the Mace Macro from...
Yeah,
well, that's
we were named... Our name was Mace Macro originally.
Yeah.
And then we went... And, you know, when Bill Heath because Bill Heath started it with Gary and Peter, I mean, Bill wanted to call it Macro and dropped the Mace because he wanted the standalone business name. In 2020, we, you know, when I became CEO, we brought it to Mace Operate. It tied in with the Mace and therefore started being called Mace. But anyway, there was the group decided, you know, now in hindsight, the group had decided they wanted to divest a couple of their businesses, and we were one of them.
Yeah.
So the opportunity came to put an offer forward, and we were fortunate enough to be able to, you know, do a deal to do that. So yeah, in 2023, I should know this. What are we in now? 26. Yeah, 2023.
It has been a weird 3-4 years.
2023. We I think it was 23 or 24.
Yeah.
We're in 23. I think it was November. We did a management buyout 1st of November. We were a standalone business. We had 9 months of it being as part of the group, but we had to kind of separate. So, which is quite interesting because when you're part of a bigger group, and you know, Mace is a £2 to £3 billion business.
Huge. I mean, just walk around London, you see them everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere. As a construction business.
Yep.
As a consultancy business, they're all over the world. They're in 80 countries.
Yeah.
And so you always got that, what I call, you've got that wrapper around you. And actually up until that day, you know, Mace would set a strategy. This is what we want to do. And me as CEO is you take that, adapt it, and go, this is what it means for the FM business.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So the first thing was separate. So new IT system, new HR system. We had to find a new office, et cetera, et cetera.
None of them small projects either, individually, all quite significant.
No. When you get a new ERP system in your business, not only did we have to get it, but we had to be up and running with it in 9 months.
Yeah.
That was the cutoff.
And was that rolled out around the world as well?
Yeah.
So that makes it even more
challenging. So we had to
challenging.
get a whole IT system. So, even just the infrastructure, like just stuff like Windows, all of that, we had to start all over. Laptops, we had to get new laptops. We had to procure new. So I guess when you think of it that way, there was a lot to do.
Yeah.
But we just got on and we did it. And within 9 months, was it perfect? No. But we got to 80, 90%. So and we're up and running. 9 months in, we're up and running in our new office in Liverpool Street.
Yeah.
And of course it's global.
Yeah.
You got a management team. We bring everyone together, and then actually you realise there are some people who don't actually want to be for a smaller organisation. They want to be in larger organisations. Yeah. So they decide, okay, they want to move on. These things happen. So then you're starting to go, okay, that's interesting.
So you got that natural attrition as well.
Yeah, you got natural attrition, but some people want to work for bigger organisations. Some people, So there was that change happening.
Yeah. This episode of FMX is proudly sponsored by Macro, a leading facilities management and workplace services provider that operates in over 45 countries worldwide. Working with many of the world's most recognisable brands, Macro helps organisations get more from their buildings, whether that's improving operational performance, ensuring compliance, or creating exceptional workplace experiences for employees and visitors alike. We're also delighted to welcome Macro CEO Ross Abbate as our guest for this episode, where we're exploring leadership, innovation, and the future of facilities management. But enough from us. You're already halfway through a brilliant FMX episode featuring the Macro CEO Ross Abbate. Let's get back to it.
And then, of course, you go, okay, what's our strategy for the next 3 years?
Yeah.
And, of course, up until then, all the time, someone else had kind of set a group strategy.
Yeah.
And now you've got to set and now you've got to set it. And
you guys are responsible for it.
Yeah.
It's got to be successful.
You've got to go, what's the direction we're going? And like we, as Dan Emery would say, we were a startup with 23 years experience.
Yeah.
But we were a startup. And then you had to get a marketing person in. There are all these things that you took for granted that actually you're starting to do yourself. And then, of course, like every business, you've got to grow.
Yes.
You've got to go out. And then you're not supported by a big group anymore. So the biggest thing was, would someone buy you when you're not part of the Mace group
What's
anymore?
Your route to market? And how do you articulate who you are?
Well, it's not only that, is you had the backing of a 2 billion to 3 billion pound business.
Yeah.
Now you don't have that backing anymore.
Yeah.
You're a 140 million pound business.
Yeah.
The same, it's not the same. So your target clients are probably slightly different.
Yeah.
You're right. And what's your real value proposition? And then of course you got to develop the strategy. So that was the other thing we did. And then actually as an EMT, we all had to step up also, because up until then everyone had we're getting instructions from the group.
Yeah.
But now HR, you're setting the policy.
Yeah.
Finance, you're setting the policy.
Yeah.
Commercial, you're setting. So that was a bit of a learning curve for all of us.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think the biggest challenge out of all of those things was during that period?
Probably stepping up as a team.
Yeah.
So we've done a lot of work with some coaching and stuff like that to get us to work better as a team and to become united in that.
So it was more like that collective response to the changes within your business and how you all work together, not as individuals, but coming together as a team and being aligned.
Yes,
and collaborative.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're a solid team.
Yeah.
Look, we're not perfect. We bicker and all that.
Yeah. But I've just come out of a board meeting, mate. We did the same thing.
But you do. That's you got to be curious and you got to challenge each other.
Yeah.
Because you're all on the same direction to go there. And it's not for everyone. Not everyone wants to do that role. Not everyone wants to, because you do start to sacrifice, time. Yeah. And you put a lot of energy in and stuff like that.
Okay. So how many countries do you guys operate in at the minute, Ross?
49.
49. So because obviously that to me adds another complexity to anything that you were trying to do around, just distance, communication strategy. How do you, adequately communicate your strategy to other countries where perhaps English isn't the first language and so on and so forth. That must have come with quite a few challenges that you had to overcome as well from a leadership perspective.
Yes.
It must have taken some real out-the-box thinking as well, Ross.
Yeah, see, I don't know. Maybe I simplify things, right?
Yeah.
That's the engineering in me. You break it down little pieces.
Yeah.
So for me, we just started with so we do things like global calls.
Yeah.
We do like SMT briefing, senior management team, where we get them. We get on a call once a month and go, these are the things that are coming up in the business.
Yeah.
So we've started these calls, so there is communication going out there.
Right.
That even the leadership lattes, you hear
Yeah.
it from a different point of view and stuff like that. But for me, it's just been you just try something and does it work, it doesn't not work, and you grow
Yeah.
out. I get it. There is, the things that really work really well is
Yeah.
when you do thank yous for people. So we had awards last year, but even then you can't please everyone. But you do
No.
please people, where we got people in and people won awards from all over the business for living the purpose.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So for me, they're the things is how you engage your people and people start to listen.
Yeah.
And then you got line management. So for me, this is like line management,
Yeah.
where people are accountable for different people.
Yeah.
And I get out, I try and meet teams where I can. You try and get teams to cross with different, because teams are different clients. We try and get them to cross pollinate so they get to meet other people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's trying everything, all these different things to try and get people to communicate and be engaged with the business.
Yeah, and as this is me, I just find this interesting personally myself. As an international business, does your leadership? How often would your leadership get together in person? Do you do it annually?
So we do it every 6 months. So we got one next week actually.
Okay,
So
anywhere
I
nice?
bring in it. No, just in Hampshire.
Oh, Hampshire.
Yeah.
That's not bad though, is it?
Yeah, Surrey, Hampshire. Is it Surrey, Hampshire border? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite nice, yeah.
Would you like
We
me
used to do it in
Would you like
London.
me to come along, mate? Help out, happy to do some after dinner speaking. Do you want me to?
Welcome to. We've got a barbecue on Tuesday night if you
No,
want to join.
I'm there, mate. I'm there. You know what I mean? No, I'm joking.
No.
I'm joking.
So not only are we getting our leadership team together,
Yeah.
we're also getting some of the next layer of management in also, because we're studying our business planning so our financial year ends in June.
Yeah.
So we're studying business plans. So everyone's presenting their business plans for next year. So we've got a 3-year strategy.
Yeah.
We're going into year 2.
Yeah.
And this is, and I've got to say, this is the first time we're doing it, because the first year was I set the business plan, I set the strategy almost. Now everyone's had a year of, we're learning it, is what's working, what's not working.
Yeah.
We know where we've got gaps in our business. So what's your business plan to try and close the gaps and get us online?
It's important to be able to pivot in the areas where you need to pivot.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes with a strategy, people get too wedded to it. We've got to stick to it. It's got to be rigid. No, it can't be rigid because things are going to go wrong.
Conditions change. And I'll give you a really good example, Middle East.
Yes.
Middle East, Paris is doing a really great job in trying to grow that business, and suddenly there are political issues.
A war breaks out.
Technically, depending if you're insurance or not, whether they call it a war or not. But yes, a war breaks out.
Suddenly, a kerfuffle.
Yeah. Suddenly her P&L is hit by it, because it's like being COVID there. Schools have stopped going, people not spending money and all that. You don't foresee that when you set a 3-year strategy, do you?
No, of course not.
So you got to pivot and go, okay, what can we do differently to help that, or how do we support it somewhere else?
Yeah, because obviously we're pals on LinkedIn. I see that during when the start of that conflict, kerfuffle, war, whatever you want to call it, you were actually in the Middle East, weren't you? So you were kind of stuck there for a time.
So we went out. So it's going back to about engaging colleagues, I'd gone out to do iftars with the team.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was going to fly out on the Saturday. So we did 2 iftars, one in Oman and one in Dubai, which it is really nice. And they, it's for me, I love learning about different cultures.
Yes.
And how it all works. Anyway, meant to fly out on the Sunday, and of course on the Saturday, the war broke out.
Oh, no.
So I was stuck for about a week and a bit.
Yeah,
it could be worse places.
Yeah, it's not bad, is it? I've heard the hotels are all right.
No, the hotels were good, yeah.
But in terms of from a leadership perspective, though, did that create any worries or concerns or, I guess, action that you had to take that you wouldn't ordinarily have taken? Did you have to think on the fly with the thing?
So the concerns were, how does it affect our Middle East business in that the individuals? Because actually there were missiles being shot down above Dubai. There was missiles Oman, across Saudi. People were getting injured, so we had to make sure. We had some debris on one of our schools that we were maintaining, all of that. So you had to put some plans in place around that. And of course, people are concerned. I mean, I was, you got two extremes. And maybe I'm a little bit blasé, but it is what it is, you get on with it. But there were people who were really concerned. So you got to cater for that and understand that.
Yeah.
And then actually, as it's gone on is what's the ramification in that? You know, how does it affect supply chain? How does it affect? So we've got a risk register of, you know, like for instance, silly things like, but in Australia you can't get PVC plumbing at the moment because of all. I mean, you couldn't for a period because of they couldn't manufacture it
because they can't have the oil to make the PVC.
Exactly. So for me, we then went around the business and going, okay, what are the risks that we have? Where are we going to? So we're ahead of that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But quite an interesting time though, you know, because you've gone through that MBO, significant change, not just for you but for the business as well, and then you're getting to the point where you're into year 2 of your 3-year strategy, and then suddenly just something comes out that you weren't expecting. You're having to pivot, make different decisions, and so on and so forth. That must be quite, I guess, there must be an element of being scared. It must be scary to a certain extent. There's got to be an element of scary, you know. Come on, be honest.
No, and right? I'm not. I don't think like that.
Right. Okay.
If I thought like that, I'd be a nervous wreck. So I'll give you a really good example. And it was a Christmas party this year, and I had EMT over. So we every 6 months. So they come over in November. We're doing a Christmas party, and Paris turned around to me. She goes, "All these people, you know, they're here because you did an MBO. You know, you're paying their salaries and all that. Aren't you worried about all that? You know, if it goes pear-shaped and all that." Okay, if I thought like that, I wouldn't get out of bed every morning. And if you think like that, you won't. For That's me, true. I guess if I don't think about that and I just think about forward.
Yeah, the job in hand, the task.
The job in hand.
Drive forward, keep going. Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big cricketing fan. Play with a straight bat.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Play the ball with a straight bat. Whatever comes at you, just play it straight back and do it. And I think if you take one step at a time, you just work through it. If you start to look, there are times where work gets in your head and, you know, everyone goes through it. The way I deal with it is I go away and then start to go back to engineering days, and I'm not making this up, is you break things up and you start to go, okay, I'll do this one, I'll do that one, and you start to work methodically through it.
Every task one at a time.
Yes.
Until it's completed.
Exactly right. So for me, I've got that mentality.
Yeah. Okay. That's really interesting. Well, let's talk a little bit about culture. So the culture of a business. Obviously, you know, you're now leading a large organisation. How have you either A, maintained the culture that was there prior to the MBO, and then B, expanded upon that culture? Because what I've noticed, Ross, and this is me looking from the outside in, obviously we're connections, we've known each other a while. I've seen quite significant cultural changes across your business, from things that you share on LinkedIn, you know, your approach to certain things, and so on and so forth. Has that been a very important element to you when this process took place, to drive a slightly different culture, a slightly different? And I'm not saying the culture was bad before. That's not what I mean.
Not to drive a different culture, but I think I'm probably driven by different things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't say, look, we're still creating our own culture. So when you're part of a group and you work in that office, there's a culture that works there. We have probably 80% of our employees work in our client sites.
Yeah.
So they are with that culture. And so how do you get them to believe in what we do and stuff like that?
That's a challenge.
That's a challenge.
We have the same issue.
You've got the same issue.
Yeah.
Every service provider has the same issue when they've got a dispersed portfolio and their clients, you know. And I had someone this morning say, you know, she works on a client site. She goes, I'm more them, they. And we're going, well, that's not a bad thing because we're an extension of the client.
Yeah.
But just remember, we're trying to give you other avenues. We can give you career paths, which they can't give you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So, but from a cultural point of view, it's interesting. And I'm probably, if I was to say what I'm terrible at, it's probably the culture bit, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't like tough conversations. I shy away with tough conversations.
Yeah, I'm not great at them either.
Yeah, no. I don't like conflict. I don't like any of that, right? Yeah. But I'm a CEO, and sometimes you've got to have tough conversations.
Yeah, of course.
And I go, like, my Italian makes me go, you know, one extreme to the other. It's like you're straight on, and then you kind of calm down and you go, oh, why do I do that and all that? So, and I'm trying to be more. I've been told as a CEO, you've got to be very steady. It's not me.
Yeah.
You know, I just up and down. You know, I lead. I lead with my, what do you say, your heart on your sleeve type of thing.
Yeah. That's not a terrible thing sometimes.
Anyway, but from a culture, I want people to like coming to work and enjoy coming to work. Yeah. And for me, that's really important that people really do that. And the culture will come from that. I want a culture where people feel like, do you know what? If if I work here, I can create a career path for myself. I was fortunate that Mace enabled me to have a career.
Yeah.
And I want to create those careers for other people in the business. And that's
Yeah.
ultimately what I want to be doing. And I want people to enjoy doing that.
Yeah. Because I see that you've had quite a bit of growth in North America. Am I right in saying that?
We're growing in North America, yeah. It's one
Yeah, because I've seen quite. What's that marketplace like, Ross? In terms of if you were to compare that to the UK, the only reason I ask, I have a lot of people that either I know or that are past colleagues and things like that would love the opportunity to work in the US. What would you say the differences are in that marketplace as opposed to ours?
I think it's more cutthroat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, they can fire you in 2 weeks.
Can they?
Yeah, there's a will what's it, fire at will type of clauses in your contract. So I can walk into you and say you're fired and move on.
Really?
Yeah.
What? And
It's not as easy, and it becomes very litigious and stuff like that.
Yeah, because it is that kind of society.
It is
isn't it?
more. Yeah, it is very litigious. It is more that type of, and it's all about performance. They are driven all about performance.
Yeah, and how does that compare from a cultural perspective in terms of, because I guess that's something that you would have to have got to grips to when you became CEO, even before the MBO, the different cultures and different environments and different ways of.
You've got to
operating.
appreciate that people are different all over the world, you know, and actually don't try and change that. What you're trying to do is kind of mold it across the business so people feel like that, you know, embrace the differences. You know, we've had conferences. The other day we had an internal session on different religions. You know, share the differences so people understand it instead of trying to not talk about it, you know. You know, we talk about, you know, some of the issues we talk about internally with conference calls and stuff like that. So we have different committees. I mean, I was in one of them a few weeks, we were talking about men's health. And I was in tears because someone was telling us about his situation, and they were talking about mental health and how their son tried to commit suicide. And you're thinking, oh my goodness. And this guy's bearing all in front of, you know, the internal team. So for me, that is what I want people to be themselves. We have this thing about, you know, bringing your whole self to work. And I totally believe in that. And I think that's what will create the culture.
I like that. I like that phrase, actually, bringing your whole self to work.
And so now they're using, and I love this because it's one of my favourite films, This Is Me.
Yeah.
You know, this is me. This is who I am.
Is it really? The Greatest Showman?
Yeah.
I love that film too, mate. Absolutely. I'm obsessed.
Go and watch it. I don't know if it's still on. Go and watch the stage show in Earls Court.
Yeah, I was going to get tickets for it.
It's really good.
But it's like 100 odd quid and I'm tight, so...
It's worth it.
I'm buying a house at the minute as well.
Okay, I'll explain that.
Yeah, because that's a challenge as well, to be fair. Okay, so really interesting that that you know you're driving that kind of culture within the organisation. Let me ask you a different question. If you were to offer some advice to somebody entering both the workplace and the facilities management arena now, what would be the single piece of advice that you would give to those young people?
Be curious.
Yeah?
Be curious.
Okay.
Learn, ask questions. You know, don't take the norm as a norm. You know, just learn as much as you can.
Yeah.
And it might sound like a cop-out answer, but it is true. It's when you start to ask questions and when you start to learn, and don't take the answer as it. Go and Google it or go and use AI. I mean, that's the other thing is start using AI. I mean, you'd be silly if you're not using AI for stuff at the moment. You know, start to use it. But you can use all this technology, but if you're not curious in nature, it's going to make it hard. Do you know what I mean? So be curious.
Yeah, quite because I think you're one of the first people I've had on the industry that's on the show. Sorry, that's kind of that sort of TFM provider so far. What's your view on AI in terms of how you feel it will impact the industry, and do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think AI. If you don't think it's going to impact the industry, I think you're burying your head in the sand.
I agree.
I think. Firstly, it will make your business more efficient, so at the back of house. So what that will enable you is to deliver a better service for your clients.
Agreed.
But there's also stuff you can do, and I'll take the cleaning industry, right? So we use IoT technology at the moment to look at work patterns of people working and all that. And then you've got a human who then goes, oh, the frequency there, we can do this based on that.
Yeah.
You put an AI engine on that.
They can do it, yeah.
They can do it easily, and you can just do it easily.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean, so you probably have less people, or you might say, I'll have the same people and deliver a better service.
Exactly.
So, and that's the same for maintenance. That's the same for everything you can do with. Yeah. So for me we don't even know what AI would do in the future. We're only going on what we know today.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it will revolutionise what we're doing.
Yeah, well, I've got a great piece of innovative technology around IoT sensors that is driven by AI. You should have a chat with me about it. It's very, very good in terms of driving efficiency. I've got one more question for you, and I'm going to finish on this because I think it's quite an interesting one for you, Ross. If I was to pop you in the FMX time machine and whiz you all the way back to when you started your career in FM at 26, what changes would you make? And why?
To me?
Yeah. To your career, not to you personally.
Yeah, to my career. I'd probably be... Look, I'm lucky to where I am. I'd probably say I'd probably be more confident in my own ability.
Right, okay.
The reason I never went off and did my own thing earlier was because I probably didn't have the confidence to do it.
Right.
So I didn't back myself at the time. Even though I knew I could do it, I didn't know I could do it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting here thinking I could have done this years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that back yourself. And I probably didn't back myself as much as I could have.
Yeah. Do you think that was based around the experience that you maybe didn't have then? And that's why you took that decision?
No, it is. But I mean, my parents are migrants.
Yeah.
You know, you're never going to be a senior person. You know, it wasn't in your mentality. You know,
right,
do you know what I mean? You're almost going, okay, this is where you are in the world. This is where this is where you fit. You might go a little bit, but you can't. Do you know what I mean? So, but that's a chip on my shoulders. That's me limiting myself because of that. You know, and it's interesting with my own and it's not just my parents they were fantastic. You know, they gave me every opportunity.
Yeah,
but they're only limited to what they knew. You know, my dad didn't even go to school.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough, yeah.
You know, my mum was in a factory at the age of 13.
Yeah.
So you're limited by that experience, right? Yet they knew that we had to go to university, and they gave, me and my three sisters all had the opportunity to do that, and they worked really hard to do that.
Yeah.
Right? But they didn't know what doors that opened.
No.
Whereas now, I look at my kids, and they're more open-minded, and they're more, I was talking about my daughter doing research, for her to go, I want to do a master's and a PhD. I would never have thought doing that when I was young because it wasn't in my psyche. But she's going back to, she's curious. She wants to do more. And she's not limited by the thoughts that I had, So,
I think it's what when I was younger, and I think we're not too far off age-wise. Like
you're about 10 years younger than me, but yes.
I don't know about that, mate. I don't know. You'd be shocked at how old I am. Ross, I tell you. But the reality is, university wasn't as available when I was younger as it is now. And if you are 10 years older than me, for example, then it certainly wasn't as available then. So for people like you and I, the route to university was you wanted to be a solicitor, an accountant, a doctor, or this or that. It wasn't necessarily to become a researcher or a scientific analyst. Do you know what I mean? It was different.
And I did engineering. You know why I did engineering? Because my mates did engineering. I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they got in and I thought, I can do this.
Yeah.
Well, I said I'll go and join them. And I still remember going in, doing the lab the first time, and the bloke's talking googly-gook about, resistors and transistors, and I go, what are you talking about? And these guys next to me are building things. I'm going, oh my God, what have I just got myself into?
Yeah.
But I had no idea. I just followed my friends. I just thought it was a good thing to do.
Yeah, well, I went to college after school to become a mechanical engineer. Well, I am not an engineer, right? That's all.
No, it comes out.
No, honestly, no, I didn't. I didn't even finish the course because the thing is, like when I went to college, I realised, hang on, this isn't like school.
Yeah,
I don't have to go.
Yeah,
I can just go.
I don't have to go.
And that's literally what I did. I went to the pub, and I think I lasted maybe 3-4 weeks, but I did it because my dad wanted me to do it. It wasn't something that I wanted to do. And then I ended up joining the Navy because I had an argument with my mum who told me that I was never going to become anything. I was like, right, I'll show you. So I went and signed up and passed out. And then, we all end up on life's little tapestry, don't we?
Do.
Like life's little journey and things like that. Quick question, and I don't mean to pry. Did your parents see you become CEO of Macro? Did they see your career?
To be fair, my mum's still alive. My dad passed away.
Right.
So Dad didn't see it. He knew Dad died in 2019, so I'd probably become CEO within the Mace Group, but not. Yeah. But they still have no idea what I do.
Really?
My mum has no idea what I do. Absolutely. She'll still ring me, like I talk to her every week, and she'll still go, "How's work going? Are you okay? You know, you're not going to lose your job or anything, and you're not going to." Do you know what I mean? She's got this mentality that I could get fired the next day. I could, but she's it's like make sure you work really hard for your bosses and stuff.
But that's
like
that attitude, isn't it? That's that old school attitude. You've got to really carry on and things like that. My mum checks me out on here. She follows us on YouTube.
Does she? That's really good.
She knows what I'm doing all the time.
My mum is lucky to get. I mean, my mum, she's not very. I mean, she's 86, so she's not really into technology. So she'll go on to Facebook. She'll do Facebook and stuff like that. But that's about it.
Well, we're going to add it to Facebook next time. And tag her
I'll
in,
tell her and send it to her.
So that you
but
can see.
my mum still has no idea what I do, and Dad, didn't really. So yeah.
But I bet if you were to tell them, if they did know, if they watched this podcast, I bet. Do you think they'd be surprised? Your mum?
Yeah. I think they would be surprised.
I think I'm going to give you some homework here, Ross. I think what you need to do is actually, when we provide you with the version and we release it, get your mum to watch it. I would love to know what her response is to,
I'll send it to her.
Her son operating at that level within this industry. Do you know
I will do. It'll surprise her.
It'd be a really cool exercise.
It'd be really interesting.
And could you get her to do a little video for us? Just
I could try with a broken Italian accent.
Even better, mate. Even better.
My mum is like, you look at those Italian nonnas. That's my mum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I could get my mum to do one for you, mate, but in New Zealand with a North Yorkshire accent.
Is your mum in New Zealand?
Yeah. She's
okay.
She's been. She's. I was over there for about 8 years, but I came back. New Zealand was just a bit too small for me, so I came back to the UK and I've been here ever since. But I see him regularly. I don't fly over there; she flies here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I pay for the ticket.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I don't.
No, my mum doesn't want to fly anymore, so we're going over at Christmas time.
Yeah, because it's Sydney, isn't it? I'm like, yeah. Oh, beautiful. All right, that brings us to the end of the show, Ross. How have you found it?
It's been brilliant.
Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, no, it's really good fun.
Yeah. It is. And listen, thank you very much for joining us. As ever, guys, if you want to reach out to Ross, I know that he's very open to people connecting with him on LinkedIn. And I'm sure that if he's available, diary permitting, obviously, he's a very busy man. But if you were to ask him a question, I'm sure he would come back and answer. But thank you ever so much for joining us, Ross.
No, thank you for having me. I really enjoed it. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. The last episode of season 1.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that's it. Look, we're going to be back probably around July, I would say. You're going to see some changes come July as well. Because whilst we've really enjoyed season 1, we've learnt a lot in terms of, producing the podcast, creating the room, creating a nice space, and so on and so forth. You can't see them at the minute, but we've got Finn and Ruben behind the camera. We're going to go away. We're going to make some changes. When we come back for season 2, it's going to be even bigger. It's going to be even better. And we're going to be bringing you even far more interesting facilities management content. But up until then, as ever, if you can't be good, be bad. Bye-bye.